Hi, I'm Gavin, and welcome back to the Sound Project. So I'm here with my good friend Matt Call from Simplified Acoustics, and man, we've known each other for a long time.
Long time.
And you've helped us with so many of our projects. If you go to our website and you look at many of the jobs, you have been the reason that they became what they were. So
This is correct.
yeah. So tell a little bit about a little bit backstory about yourself and kind of how you got into doing what you do today.
Okay. Yeah. So Matthew Call, obviously, and Simplified Acoustics, and background is building construction management major from Purdue. So that was kind of always been in construction, but a musician at the same time. There's some of the crossover.
Yeah.
So just being able to go from being a full-time musician back to the real world, that was a weird transition for me. So thankfully, back in the day, I was able to get hired by Oralex Acoustics, obviously.
That's where we met.
Yep, that's where I met Gavin. And that transition from construction to acoustical, installation, that's kind of my wizardry, is the actual being able to install stuff. And just having knowledge of, 20 years of construction kind of really helps in knowing that there's 5 ways to do everything. So just let's pick either the one that's right for this situation or the background. But yeah, I would say just the love of music and studios and still being able to apply my background in construction is kind of what put us here.
And your instrument of choice, I know it, but it's drums.
Drums,
right?
yeah. I am a drummer from way back. Yeah, was able to tour and have lots of fun for a lot of years. So.
Yeah. And you still play, don't you?
Yeah. Currently still play with a guy named Michael Kelsey, and I was touring in a band called S.O.U.N.D, S-O-U.R, and yeah.
That's awesome.
97.
So we met when we were at Oralex, and you were heading up the kind of custom fabrication portion of the business.
Custom install portion
of
that.
What year did you start Simplified Acoustics?
It would be 12.
2012.
2012 is when, I'd kind of, in the 4 years prior to that, was kind of doing my own thing, but officially became Simplified Acoustic in 2012. So.
Yeah. And so we could talk about so many different projects that we've been involved with.
Yeah.
The big thing that I love when Simplified Acoustics gets involved in the jobs that we do is that I know that you'll figure it out. That's like the biggest thing, right? It's
no pressure.
No pressure. But we do these renderings and we create these images that the client really gravitate towards, and then they want it to look that way. And and I know that you uniquely are gifted at making that happen. And sometimes it's on the fly, having to change things because things weren't built exactly the way the plans are or what have you. But I always tell people when I'm working with them, if you go with Matt and his crew, they're going to get it done one way or the other, which is a big testament to what you guys do. Yeah.
Thanks. Now you see the smirk on his face?
No, there's no smirk.
There's been a couple of jobs where he's actually called. He goes, "Oh, you're going to really love this one," and then he starts laughing just like that. And then I just go, "Oh no!"
Oh, no. Yeah.
And I go, "Here we go."
Yeah, I know. But you handle it.
Yeah, we do it.
And
make it. There's a way. Like I said, there's 5 ways to do everything. So let's pick one of them.
Well, and you're based in Indiana as well, just like we are. And but your work takes you all over the country
and the world now. Yeah. So fun to be able to go all over the place. But yeah, mainly the United States. But yeah, some of those. We do a lot of studios with you, but we also do a lot of churches and home theaters are a different animal, but somewhat those apply to the studios in that, it's all about an aesthetic element. Mm-hmm. It really comes down to it's got to look right, lighting's got to be right.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with our mission statement being we create rooms that inspire. It's like they won't inspire unless they look good, like the room that we're in right now. Like this is a theater that we did for Stephen Sims, and you came and did all of the install for it. But how much of your business is theaters versus churches versus studios? Is it?
So right now, in the past 2 years, which has been wild, the uptick is we're probably 40 to 50% recording studios.
Okay.
Quite a bit of that. And then it's probably about 30 to 20, and they'll flip-flop, but theaters to churches. Mm-hmm. It's hard to pick dollar amount. It's more per job is what it is. Because, a church is obviously going to be way more dollars.
Yeah.
Depending, although you and I have done some huge studio. So.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, and we got more on the way, which is really fun. When it comes to let's say a studio project, what are the biggest challenges that you face on those jobs?
Wow. First thing is location, access. Just sometimes it's even getting into the job. I was just telling people earlier about when we did the job in Oakland with Justin Martin.
Yeah.
His job, okay, that's on the side of a hill.
Yeah, that's true.
It's 4 blocks to the top of this hill. Well, you can't get a truck in there. You can't get. So I had this rental car, and we loaded all the insulation on the front of the rental car, like on the glass, and drove it up the hill, and then would drop it off, and then back it down, and then drive it up the hill. Yeah, you couldn't even see. I was looking out the window. Yeah,
no way.
So it's like, yeah, that's the number one. How do we get in and out? There's been other projects in, in New York City. That's always, we're in Boston, where how do you get product in there? How do you do it? So that's number one. And number two is what are the other trades that you're working with? So, like since we travel the country, half the time I have to come in and be friendly with people, I have no idea.
Sure.
Which, obviously, I don't have that problem.
Yeah, you're fine with that.
At least I'm trying to, but it's great to be able to go in and meet new people and see what they can do. But that's part of the equation is, hey, we all have to work as a team, so let's figure out the easiest way.
Yeah.
And a lot of times if you don't burden people, and you kind of show them, look, you just do this, I'll do that, we'll help each other, and this will be the end result.
Yeah.
That usually works out pretty well.
Yeah.
But
that's one of the biggest things on these jobs is just making sure everybody works well together and having that kind of teamwork attitude. I know that my wife's father, he used to run a acoustical ceiling tile company, and he would do he did the convention center in Las Vegas and a bunch of other things, but there was always bickering between electrical and mechanical and the acoustical guys, and that just leads to problems you don't need. So
I've been on many a job site where trades are fighting. And actually, real quick side story, painted my way through college, and it was union, and we were on an industrial project, and the mechanical guys were fighting with the painters for some reason, and that gets dangerous. That's a bad way to be, and when you're scared on a job site, that's not good.
No, that's not
so
good at all.
I learned early to be like, okay, let's just get along and be friendly.
Absolutely.
And so that's a lot of it is just let's get the trades to all work together, and every job, I know there's something weird.
Yeah.
So I just plan on it. I don't get upset about it. It's just like, there's going to be something, and how often we show up on a job and you go, oh, where did that come from? And all of a sudden you're like, well, how are we going to adjust? And that's usually where I'm on the phone. Hey, Gavin.
Yeah.
What do we do here? I think we should do this. And then we talk our way through it.
That's a great thing too. You've done so many of these, and you have acoustical background as well with working at Orlex with me, and so there's most of the time you say, okay, here's the solution I think we should do, and 9 times out of 10 that's the way we go, because it's something. The biggest thing is just making sure that the constructability has to be there. It's like you can design cool things all day long in SketchUp, but then how do you make it happen?
Actually building it.
Right.
That's been the trick is kind of some of that. And as we do more commercial jobs, it's funny how you have an architect that's involved. So you're providing drawings that they have to draw and then do as-built so that are the same. So that level of it comes in completely different. But being able to draw it for them and then they officially draw it is kind of a... But it's always good.
Yeah.
There was one time where I had this whole project mapped out, and I was standing with the 3 different trades, and we drew all over the wall, and we had it. You know what I mean? And then we go over here. Yeah, exactly. What it was is we were all talking to each other, and I go, yeah, just do that. And everybody, between the carpenter and the electrician, they're all like, that looks great. We'll do that. And then they called later, and they go, did you take a picture? And I was like, no, it was on the wall. No one took a picture of it, and the painter came in and painted over it. So they were like, wow, what did we draw? We had it all solved.
Dang.
Yeah. So then it was try to work your way back through it and redraw it. But
so when it comes to like the jobs that you do, obviously it's churches, studios, home theaters. Do you enjoy one of them over the other? Is it just a different challenge or?
Different challenge. Yeah, not really. Yeah, it's kind of churches tend to be somewhat straightforward, but every once in a while you'll get these insane projects where they're, literally you're in a 90-foot spider lift over the top of some crazy ornamental thing trying to put treatment in the ceiling, and those are interesting.
Yeah.
But for me, my heart's in the studio side. You just kind of love in our business, you never know who's going to call you, so you get to meet a lot of cool people.
That's true.
So that's the fun side of it. Theaters tend to be straightforward. You're usually dealing with usually not a homeowner, more of a project manager and an interior designer.
Right.
Whereas the studio, a lot of times you're with the artist. You're there, which is cool.
That is really fun. Speaking of that, we've done a lot of projects together. I know that we talked through a few of them. So you helped us with David Crowder's studio in Atlanta. And
talk about awesome artist. Yeah.
Oh man, that's really cool. And that space is probably, if I had to pick my favorite looking studio, or just like it also springboarded into a lot of inspiration for other projects like that, and which you have also done. And so, because Crowder led to Brooklyn Duo, which led to Studio 33.3, and that kind of white, clean lines look, and which that's another one when you call, when I call you and I say, I got this project for you, and I'm sorry, but it's all white. And because it's a whole
At least I kind of
challenge.
know, because of those awesome pictures. It is another great David Crowder story. We're towards the end of that project, and we got a photo shoot literally in 2 days. And David is getting ready to put his monitors up front on stands, and he's got blue jeans on and a shirt with white fabric. If you brush up against the fabric, like pushing in on the front, it'll leave a line. You'll see a mark in it. I was like, dude, no way. You're not doing it. We got a photo shoot. Like, you can't be rubbing up against the thing. So he goes, oh, I got you. He disappears for about 20 minutes, and he shows up in an all-white Kevlar suit, and he zips it up, and he puts his gloves on. And I go, perfect, buddy. Perfect. Go ahead. You go ahead and do it.
Yeah, he always had something fun going on when we were on that project, whether it was, he has that blowtorch there in the studio, or, there's always something fun going on with David.
He had all these kids' toys that were actually, he had a friend of his wire them so there was either a microphone in it or something, so that he could take like a little, like a kid's little train and plug it in, and then you could record it. So what's great is Mark worked with me, Mark Gruber, one of my great friends, and we get to work together, which is amazing. And he is now since wired. There was a little kid's drum set thing we have a plug-in that I can actually, but it's a kid's toy, and it was kind of that David Crowder thought, that are doing things like that.
That's really cool. Well, and I know that with the white fabric, not only just getting it dirty is a problem, but there's also things you have to do behind the fabric to make sure you don't see shadows and everything. There's just so much that goes into that compared to...
For example, on the David Crowder project, there was all these binary amplitude panels that look amazing because they have all these crazy hole sequences. Well, they didn't want, to be able to see black behind them, which is kind of, you can, normally... we have to have everything the same color.
Sure.
So we had to put white fabric, but then it's backlit with lighting. So then we had to put black fabric over that, so we didn't have light coming through, and it looked white on the front side. And behind most white fabric, any change in substrate, which we've got a ton of changes in substrate, you can see that through the fabric. So there's this whole bunch of work of just how do we make it all the same color and then make it work.
At the end of the day, those jobs in a lot of the rooms that you do, if we're going floor to ceiling stretch fabric, from a distance, it just looks like drywall, and you have to point out like that's actually fabric, and there's acoustical treatment going on behind it. And in the white rooms, it's kind of hard to tell where the treatment actually is. Like the Studio 33.3 job we did, which we have a video out for that as well. I mean, that space has turned out beautiful, and but it is mostly white, and you think that you could go up and touch drywall, but it's all treatment behind that.
I've shown that to clients, as a marketing thing.
Sure.
And no one understands that it's fabric. So when we send it to people, I usually take a marker or almost handwritten going, white fabric, multiple things behind it. Or you have to show them what the wall looks like before and after fabric. So that they know that, okay, this isn't drywall. It's weird, but it looks like drywall.
I mean, when you see finished photos of rooms, like it's really fun to go back and look at during the framing stage of how you're framing out the treatments and getting the depth and the thickness that you need to, and building soffit traps. Like, it's really fascinating to see all the different methods that you do to make it happen, because you're thinking about ease of constructability, but then reducing the amount of materials that you have in there and how much channel you have to use. And so obviously, with doing it for as many years as you have, you've come up with tricks that just streamline the process, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's it's not a lot of these wall systems. You're not holding the house up. You're not parking a truck on it, so it can be at a lower level of support. But we also want to keep it acoustical. So instead of just framing 2x12s and everything up to get it off the wall the right distance, we build chicken ladders for a lot of that. Just this open thing where sound can go through it. So it's a whole different scenario. But yeah, there's you're thinking acoustical and you're thinking materials. So it's all that. And then visual. That's, all those sides.
Speaking of visual,
especially lighting, this one, we did all the lighting in here too.
Well, that's a big part of it, is that so many of the studios and theaters that you do, I mean, the lighting is a really big part of the vibe and the feel of the room, and being able to change the way the room looks. And so that's another huge benefit of people going with Simplified Acoustics, is that you can handle that part as well. Yeah,
it's been great. So of the classes that I've taken, continuing ed, con ed kind of stuff, lighting was incredible. That was a great... I was doing a theater one time, and the designer had this wonderful looking sconce, and they just thought that would be the light for the room.
Yeah.
I had to talk to him and let him know that, like, look, you want to see the sconce. It's a cool looking sconce. So we have to put a light on the sconce.
Yeah.
And, that's different than their thinking. They're like, no, the light will come out of the sconce. Well, then you can't see because you're looking at the light.
Right.
So what was weird is, most of the time, that light wasn't ever on the sconce.
Sure.
We actually, and then you're looking at panels and lighting panels in between. So there's usually a lot of lighting or task lighting that goes on in the room.
Yep.
A lot of consoles. Most of the time, you don't want the light in front of you. A, it'll shine on the monitor. And B, you don't want it in your eyes. So a lot of these, we'll find out the exact position of, the mixing desk, and then we'll move lighting to come in either along the side of you or over your shoulder. Just to get it out of where's the windows, where's the monitor, and then kind of adjust it accordingly.
Well, and there's so many different obstacles that are going on behind the fabric. You've got, a lot of times you have conduit for audio lines, and you have electrical, you have lighting. There's so many things you have to work around, and then make it look like you didn't do anything. Like at the end of the day, you want it to just look like if a electrical socket's sunken into the wall, it just looks like it normally would into drywall. So
lighting tends to be the big, and nowadays, especially on commercial jobs, I tend to be more upfront about. Just do what I'm asking you, please. I know you've done it this way 50 times, but come on, just do what I'm asking you. This will be so much easier.
Right.
In the Wisconsin job for north.
University of Wisconsin, Green Bay.
Yep, the Green Bay project. That was great. That electrician, I said, just trust me. Just trust me. Just do this.
Yeah.
And he did. And when we were done, he was like, you made it so easy for us. And I go, yeah, and you made it easy for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to tear your stuff out.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately, I've walked on projects before and the electrician didn't. And they spent weeks putting it in, and we took it all apart.
Right.
And just say, that's not going to work.
Yeah, because it's not, a lot of these treatment systems are, 4 inches, 6 inches, a foot deep. 2 feet deep if it's a base trap sometimes, and I know you would just rather have the electrical come through, caulk that hole for isolation, and then just end up having a whip. That's
give us a whip.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and
then
either
you
the
route
device can be on it, or let's just get the whip, and then we'll place that box and the device where it is. Then they can finish it up.
Yeah.
Because you don't. It says 4, but we're really about 4 3/8, 4 5/8.
Yeah.
When you look at those systems, a lot of times drywall, when you get into a corner, there's way more mud in the corner and along the floor line. So what that does is fabric goes straight.
Yeah.
So if my track is here and I'm out 4 inches because I have to be out that far to cover up the treatment, well, from there to the bottom, a lot of times in the middle, it's 4 5/8.
Yeah.
So depending on what the drywall's doing. So you can't just plan on a 4-inch treatment. It actually has to be very specific. And a lot of times we end up stretching strings and then setting that device based on where the fabric's going to be.
Right. Yeah. Well, and also talking about visual with the LED lighting. Also, one of the things, thinking of the Josh Dunn project that we did for 21 Pilots.
That was awesome.
One thing that you specialize in too is to, when we print images on fabric, having to line that up, because there's going to be seams every once in a while. And his room was kind of like a octagon type shape.
Total octagon, yeah.
And I remember sending over the renderings, and I know that that's not. It's a challenge, but it's something you've done so often, to where you're splicing images together and making sure the seams line up. But yeah, when I show people the end result of that, they're just like, "That's not painted on the wall. Like that's that's actually fabric." So
yeah. And because it was the octagon, we had to have multiple panels. And I've done rooms that are 15 feet high before. And then, our fabric print's only 10. So then you have to go vertical. Yeah. And you're splicing images over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did my first one, and I started at the end, and by the time I got to the other end, it was so nowadays I learned to start in the middle and go both ways.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah, a smart guy would do that, but I didn't do it. We know.
Well, and another thing on that job that showcased another one of your skills that I think you use a lot in home theaters, but we did it in studio, was the fiber optic ceilings.
Yeah.
And
that was fun.
I think that the way that you do that, you could explain a little bit, because it's three-dimensional. It's not just like a 2D fiber optic ceiling like you see a lot of times.
The images are fun because they can be fun and they can also be taxing, but we know what it takes to be able to do that. But the starfields that we do are three-dimensional, just like you mentioned, because they come down in the room, and then we custom carve them for that room. So we have the ability to steer light with those different. It's a bunch of different size fibers, and it looks really cool. We do it in a lot of theaters. That's where a lot of these home theaters we get called in, once they see it, they want it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool because of that. But yeah, it's you have to control light in the room, like a lot of times, like what we're doing in the studio, just to make sure there isn't a ton of light shining up on it.
Right. Because
it is a bunch of strands hanging that allow that. But it was fun. That was something I came up with a bunch of years ago. And we still keep upping the ante on the Starfield. But
and you've done... have you done ones with like shooting stars and like animations to it?
Yeah, so it's nebulas that are animated.
Okay.
Yeah, so Mark that we were talking about before, he's a smart enough guy that I said, "Hey, I got an idea." And he was like, all right. So what we're actually doing is taking a nebula, incorporating the starfield ceiling, but then it's a whole bunch of different zones that'll change over time on a timeline. So it's not like just turning the lights on.
Yeah.
There's a timeline that it runs on, just like recording tracks in the studio. It looks just like that. It runs like a bunch of tracks. But he was able to program it up, and now we're getting kind of wild on that. But that's
really
fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
I know that when you come into a project, a lot of times it's at like kind of the white box level, and it's ready to do treatment.
True.
And honestly, it's probably the time in the project, because there's so much that goes into the construction and everything else, and isolation. But then by the time you see a white box, the customer is like, "I'm ready for this thing to be finished." And so you get under the gun quite a bit, where it's just like, how quickly can this happen? And I always try to preface it with people and just say that, hey, this is something that it always is going to take a little bit longer than you might think it would, because there's so many different things and challenges that you have to work around. But is that a challenge for you at all when it comes to timing of things?
Yeah, just trying to set the expectation of that, hey, we're a couple of weeks before we even. And a lot of people think that you're just coming in and slapping up panels,
right,
and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, no, we're stick building, basically everything in the room, in these cases, supporting these columns the right way so that the speakers can be interfaced and lighting into them, and they have to be removable to be able to get at stuff.
Right.
And, we're over 4 inches deep here just on this inner wall, let alone on the outside. So there's a lot that has to be stick built, in there's a lot, we'll talk about those after a bit, but a lot of the features of this room are just like, all that structure work to be able to hold the track and be able to put treatment in is a bunch of work. The one we just finished for Sean, his project, it was 2.5 weeks of just structure work.
Yeah.
And he was ready to go from day one, like you said. Yeah.
You're talking about Sean Coatney.
Yeah. Sean Coatney for his project. And
we've done enough projects now that we have multiple Seans you've helped, because Sean De Leon
that's true.
in Fort Wayne as well. So
yeah, Sean, that was a good project. Yeah. Yeah, so there is that setting that expectation, but what's pretty wild is I did have one customer, and it was a theater type project, but he actually called the dealer, people we were, that brought us in on the project, and was like, I don't think they're doing anything. I want my money back. They're just sitting down there not doing anything, because a week had gone by, but he just didn't see fabric.
Right.
Well, in the last day, we put in treatment, and then fabric goes up, and we're done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially in a theater type environment.
It's all the planning. Yeah.
But he just thought he would see fabric right away. But there is there's weeks of stuff that has to happen.
So
especially when you're pulling wiring and you're setting devices, and
so much that goes into it. And I often
just the
wonder,
input panels. Sometimes those are crazy.
Right.
Just
mic plates.
Yeah, mic plates and coming. Like, what do you want those to look like? Sean Coatney's, it was wood that was sunken into the wall in some places. In other places, it's sticking off the wall that's finished wood that has fabric all around it. So designing that, we pretty much used every wall to hand design every single mic plate.
You're right.
But it looks incredible because the fabric finishes flush, and those are sunken in wood, and
Looks
there's
nice.
a lot of that.
Well, and I wonder too sometimes how you keep track of it all, because you're always, every time I call you, we kind of joke and we say, like, where are you today, to both of us, because I'm traveling a lot, you're traveling a lot, but how do you keep on top of all these projects that you're working on?
Whew, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So my wonderful wife Gina helps me with a lot of. Now her taking over the office helped out an amazing amount. Because then I don't have to worry about the specific ordering of stuff. That's what really kind of was crazy all the time. But now being able to focus on details. And I don't know, I think because I really get into the projects, I remember a lot of those little details because I'm excited about it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that kind of does help. Every once in a while you'll be like, all right, what job is this? But, from planning to done, especially on church projects, you're sometimes 3 years apart. We'll bid projects to be budget. And then by the time you're on it, it's 3 years away.
Yeah.
Studios, we're easily a year or two. Steve Sims, this one we're sitting in, this was, a year and a half by the time we got to finish.
True.
So, there's I don't know. I think because I get excited about it, I get, able to pull some of those details out. And,
And you have a crew now of multiple people that can help you on jobs. Cause I know maybe when you first started, it was more kind of like me when I first started too. It was just me doing everything, but now, I mean, it seems like you can send in a bigger crew on those bigger jobs and get them done quicker.
We've got 8 guys now, so it's we're up to. What's great is I can focus more on planning and actually go visit jobs the Huddleston project we've got coming in Virginia, we just visited there. So it was great to actually go in ahead of time and do the drawings on the wall, or,
don't paint over it.
Sometimes I'm like, are you getting ready to paint? Like, I learned my lesson on that one. Or take a picture of it. How about that?
Right.
You can do some of that planning work. So that's good because you've got crews that you can trust to be able to get stuff done.
That's great.
But some of the bigger ones like Sean, we were all there. So there was a ton of us there just working because there were so many different rooms.
Right.
But it's great to have with any business, it's a bunch of guys, but we've been able to grow and continue to, I think what's great is the theaters and the churches are filling in the gaps for the studios.
Sure.
But I do have the guys are kind of fighting over who gets the next studio because it's fun.
Yeah, right.
Especially depending on who it is and some of the other ones.
That's awesome. Well, I always say that when I start talking to a client, they say, well, who's going to build all this stuff? Your first name that I typically call out there, and it's super comfortable for us because obviously we work together on a lot of things, and I know how you work, you know how I work, but also it's just I know that when you go to the job site, you're going to get it done no matter what, and that's what we need because there's some contractors that they'll throw their hands up when things aren't exactly to plan, and they're like, I can't work like this. And I always tell people, if Matt's involved, he's gonna get it done, and you'll be super happy with it. So I appreciate all the work you've done. I actually, when the cameras turn off, I've got 2 more projects I need to talk to you about as well.
Let's go.
I just really appreciate you taking time to do this podcast with us.
Thanks, Gavin.
Yeah.
Glad being here.
All right. Well, that's been another episode of the Sound Project. Thanks for being a part of it. And a lot of the studios we've done have been pulled off by Simplified Acoustics. So if you have a favorite studio on our channel that this guy right here has been a part of, comment that below, and we'll see you next week.